Well, that's very nice of you, Wrong Think. Since everyone else is doing these, I decided I was going to do one too. Um,
Well, that's
Also,
very nice.
I've uploaded a mirror of that Project Veritas video, the rigging the election part 1 video. I think as many people as possible need to see it. I think the media needs to be badgered with it because if the information in this video is accurate, then we now have evidence that the Hillary Clinton campaign was in fact behind the violence at Trump rallies and was breaking the law by actually conspiring directly with the DNC and with super PACs. So as many people need to see this video as possible. I would recommend that everyone download their own copy of it, at least back it up, if not upload it, mirror it yourself, because this is really important. A literal criminal is about to become president. So with that, I'm going to take this dumb quiz and see what happens. So, where do you side on social issues? What is your stance on abortion? Now, I don't think this one is as simple as just being pro-choice or pro-life. So let's see what other stances has. Ban after the first 3 months. I don't agree, but the government has no right to ban it. Providing birth control, sex education, and social services will help reduce the number of abortions. Allowing cases of rape and I guess the closest thing, I hate the add your own stance thing because I'm not sure how that's supposed to affect the outcome. I guess maybe they have some kind of bot that reads keywords or something. I guess this is closest to what I think. Personally, I don't like abortion, and I think it should be educated against. But I don't think it makes sense to ban it either, because you just end up with a worse outcome than if you allow it. So that's... I'm going to keep that neutral. It's not really important to me. Actually, I'll make it less important, because honestly, it's not like this is realistically going to change anyway. Should the government continue to fund Planned Parenthood? I mean, Planned Parenthood is a private company. Most of their funding is private. It wouldn't really hurt them to not have the government funding. And I don't think the government should pay for abortions either. Not unless we have some kind of universal healthcare system and people's healthcare is actually being paid for in general. Because, let's face it, unless it's a life-threatening situation, abortion isn't really healthcare. It's an oopsie. There's so many ways to avoid having to get an abortion. So, I guess the closest thing to what I want would be government shouldn't fund abortions. Lol and caps. Government should not give funds to any organizations. See, that's just funny to me. Do you support the legalization of same-sex marriage? Where's the I don't care answer? Where's the this doesn't matter to me in the slightest answer? That needs to be an answer. All of these answers are dumb. I guess this one, because I don't particularly care if gay people want to get married, but I also think that people should be able to privately discriminate however they want. And that would fall under that. Should gay couples have the same adoption rights as straight couples? I mean, again, this is such a small, negligible issue that I don't really care all that much. It's not something that's going to bring down civilization or have any real impact at all, I think. So I would probably say as long as they pass the same background checks as straight couples. This is an I don't really care thing. I'm actually going to make this on I'll make the marriage one less important. This is like, eh. What is chat saying? I know I can select how much I care. Well, I want to answer as many questions as possible because I feel like I'll get a more accurate result that way. Should a business be able to deny service to the customer if the request conflicts with the owner's religious beliefs? Yes. Yes, I think so. Because it's freedom of association. Everyone should be able to privately discriminate however they want. This is like one of the very few things I actually agree with ANCAPs on. Should health insurance providers be required to offer free birth control? It should be covered like any other prescription. I do think the government should support abstinence programs, as well as contraceptive programs and just better sex education in general, because we do know that more comprehensive sex education, if you look at it by region, the school districts with better sex education do have lower rates of teen pregnancy. So I do think abstinence should be part of that, but it shouldn't be. It doesn't say abstinence only, so I'm not sure what this answer means. Abstinence only would be really stupid, if you ask me. Should gender identity be added to anti-discrimination laws? Well, I think I explained this one already. Repeal anti-discrimination laws for private companies. No, there are only two genders, which are genetically not psychologically determined. Yeah, this one. There shouldn't be anti-discrimination laws for private companies or individuals. Edgy fails on the GQ. What, the gay question? I don't care about gay people. They don't matter. Like, they who cares? It's not important. Parasite Symbiote says, I hate teen mothers. Yeah, they're kind of shit human beings. Like, it's a really avoidable situation. You know, don't expect me to feel bad for you. Should the government support a separation of church and state by removing references to God on money, federal buildings, and national monuments? See, I don't think this. I don't think this matters really. I'm gonna say no. Because a lot of that stuff is historical, and "In God We Trust" doesn't say which God. So I don't see this as all that important. Do you support the death penalty? No, too many people are innocently convicted. No, spending life in prison is a harsher sentence. Yes, but only for horrific crimes with undeniable evidence. Yes, but the victim's family should decide the punishment. I'm kind of a vengeful person. So I'm going to say yes, but only for horrific crimes with undeniable evidence. Because, I mean, innocent people do end up on death row. I don't think it should be something that's just done sort of willy-nilly, you know. More social questions. Should terminally ill patients be allowed to end their lives via assisted suicide? Yes. Yes, they should. Just a simple yes. I actually think this is really important, because I don't think people should be forced to live if they don't want to live. Pedos should be thrown off cliffs. Yeah, you know, if you can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that they, like, touched a kid, or they have, like, a huge amount of child porn or something, yeah, off the cliff. Although that would be a quick death. They'd hit the ground and pretty much die instantly. Should marital rape be classified and punished as severely as non-marital rape? Marriage provides legal subordination for a spouse to have sex with the other spouse. Consensual. I thought it was like consensual. Consensual? That doesn't look right. Anyway, consensual sex with a spouse under the age of 18 should be classified as statutory rape. Well, it is already if there's enough of an age difference, isn't there? See, I'm not sure that there should be a distinction because, you know, if what you've done fits the legal definition of rape, then it's rape. I mean, I don't understand why people feel the need to make this distinction. But I mean, I feel like this is really going to skew me if I answer yes to this question. You know, like from my perspective right now, the answer is yes. But I think it's going to skew me because I feel like someone who's super concerned about this probably wants the definition of rape changed, or they want due process eroded or something. Like they want it to be easier to convict for rape. But I mean, I guess I'm going to say yes and just leave it neutral. Should the military allow women to serve in combat roles? No. 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 The vast majority of men are not fit to serve in combat roles and wouldn't make the grade. So, given that, and given that women are less strong, less physically capable than men on average, you know, if you can find a woman who can meet the same standards as men would be held to, then I guess, but just the odds of finding those women are so low, that it just seems like a stupid question. You know, and I mean, even if a woman is physically capable, the Marine Corps has done research on unit cohesion, like not just combat effectiveness, but effectiveness in general through, you know, a variety of metrics like completing obstacle courses and things like that. And the all-male units outperformed the co-ed units in every possible measure, because men are sort of just psychologically hard-coded to care about women and go out of their way to help women. And in a combat scenario, I can't imagine that would be good. So that's a firm no, and an important no, because it puts people at risk. Should businesses be required to have women on their board of directors? No, absolutely not. No business should ever be required to hire anybody. Like, it's not your fucking business. Should states be allowed to display the Confederate flag on government property? Yeah, sure. Why not? If it's part of that state's history and the people of that state want it that way, then there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to. Just curious, though, what is others... Oh, it's a symbol of racism. No, and ban any public display of the flag. Here, this is a little bit more nuanced of an answer. It's a historical symbol of the Southern fight for states' rights. Each state should have the right to display any flag they choose. I'm kind of in between these two answers, so I'll just say this one. Should women be allowed to wear a niqab or face veil to civic ceremonies? See, what do they mean by civic ceremonies? Is it like a public event? I mean, if it's a public event, I guess, yeah. Yes, we should respect all cultural traditions. Yes, but their identity must be privately verified by a female staff member. I mean, ideally, don't let in any more Muslims, but I'm sure that'll be another question. I haven't taken this thing in a while. But if it's a civic ceremony, like if it's a public event, then that would fall under freedom of religion. So, you know, fuck Muslims. I hate them. Where do you side on environmental issues? Should the government increase environmental regulations to prevent climate change? See, this is the thing, is that I haven't heard any kind of policy proposal that I'm sufficiently convinced would actually make a difference. Like carbon taxes or carbon credits, I don't understand how that's supposed to do anything other than increase government revenue and increase the cost of doing business and increase the cost of living for the average person. The poorest people would be most affected by that. And I think there are better solutions. Instead of increasing regulations, there's a particular kind of energy source that we could use that would be a lot better than what we're doing right now. It's not fossil fuels. It's not wind or solar. Which energy source do you guys think I'm referring to? Islam was the most cancerous meme in history. Is it global warming or climate change? Yeah, good one, NC. I think we talked about that before. Yeah, it used to be global warming, and Nick Carroll was saying it used to be global cooling, and now it's climate change. And so let's see what these other answers are. No, tax carbon emissions instead. Lol. No, and global warming is a natural occurrence. No, provide more incentives for alternative energy production. What do you mean by alternative energy production? What kind of alternative energy? Yes, and provide more incentives for alternative energy. Okay, you know what? I think no is the simplest answer for me here. Do you support the use of hydraulic fracking to extract oil and natural gas resources? Well, it kind of doesn't matter what I think about that, or even what any politician thinks about that, because a lot of state governments have signed 25-year contracts with the energy companies allowing fracking in their states. So it's kind of too late for this question. Yes, but increase oversight. Yes, but not in heavily populated areas. No, more research is needed to measure the long-term effects of fracking. No, and we should pursue more sustainable energy resources instead. Yeah, I mean, if it were up to me, this would be the answer. But sustainable, I don't like that word. You know, it's kind of become like space. Oh, don't violate my space. We need sustainable energy resources. And I feel like anytime anyone says that, they're referring to like wind or solar or some faggy cuck energy source like that doesn't actually do shit. Should the U.S. expand offshore oil drilling? Yeah, for the time being, I think they should. No, end all offshore drilling. No, and nationalize the energy sector. Fashy. No, but maintain our current offshore oil wells. No, and provide more incentives for alternative energy production. Yes, and deregulate the energy sector to let the free market determine the best energy sources. Absolutely anarcho-capitalist. I'm just going to say yes. And actually, let me think about this fracking question a little more, because that's really the answer for me. Stop fucking around with all these other energy sources. Nuclear power has far and away the highest yield of any energy source we have access to. It's absolutely retarded that we're fucking around with anything but nuclear. Like, use fossil fuels for the time being, but we should be building more nuclear plants. C-SPAN replayed the debate, one of the debates between Obama and McCain in 2008, and even McCain, even a fucking neocon, was saying this back in 2008, that we should be building more nuclear plants. And Obama said, oh, well, we need wind and solar. And then 8 years later, the left is still saying wind and solar, durr, and railing against nuclear. If you ask Dr. Jill Stein, PhD, nuclear power plants are bombs waiting to go off, because that's totally how nuclear power works. Should the government give tax credits and subsidies to the wind power industry? No. Absolutely fucking not. Wind is shit. It's objectively shit. Just because it worked in one specific part of one specific country somewhere doesn't mean it's going to work everywhere. It's shit. It's garbage. If you like wind, you're stupid. Build nuclear power plants. Here, yeah. Wind power is an inferior alternative to oil, coal, and nuclear power. Factually correct statement. This is the correct answer. This one right here. Cannot be disputed. Also, what planet would someone have to be on to choose this answer? Wind power is the best alternative to coal and natural gas. Idiot. I mean, natural gas is kind of shit too. It's not as high yield as coal or oil. But none of those things are as high yield as nuclear. Nuclear makes the most fucking sense. Wind is progressive, edgy, you fascist pig. Fucking hell. Where do you side on economic issues? Should the government raise the federal minimum wage? Make it a living wage. Nice meme, living wage. Yes, and adjust it every year according to inflation. No, most minimum wage jobs are meant to develop experience, not support a family. I hate this, I might be right-leaning, but I really hate this answer. Because who are you to decide what the job is meant for, quote-unquote? The economic reality is that a lot of people are stuck with those kinds of jobs. The average age of a minimum wage worker in the United States is like 35. No, this will only cause prices to increase in a never-ending cycle. No, and eliminate all federal wage standards. I mean, it's a tough question. I don't think it should really be fucked with on the federal level, because this has been tried in localized regions of the country. Like, it's been tried in Seattle, and their unemployment went up and their labor participation went down, and people lost their jobs in the wake of their minimum wage hike. So I mean, I think it's a simple no for me. If we want to fix wages, we should deport illegal immigrants and stop giving out work visas like candy, and then maybe there will be some incentive to actually, hire Americans. Should welfare recipients be tested for drugs? No, because this was tried. Yes, yeah, there. No, this is a waste of time and money. Because this was tried in Florida. This has been tried in a few parts of the country, I think. I know for a fact it was tried in Florida. And they wound up spending more money on top of the welfare to reimburse people for the cost of administering the tests. Because, first of all, it's extremely easy to cheat a drug test. And as a result, 99% of the welfare applicants passed their drug tests, and the Florida state government wound up giving everyone the welfare anyway and reimbursing them for the cost of the test. So it's a stupid idea. It doesn't make sense. I think it should be harder to get welfare in the first place. You should be held to a higher standard and expected to work. Graham Mickelson says maximum wage of $10 a year. Just because it didn't work for Seattle doesn't mean it won't work elsewhere. Oh, wait, do you mean the wind power argument or the minimum wage argument? Well, I mean, in general, the maximum yield for, I believe the maximum yield for wind power was like 60% return or something like that, which is fucking abysmal. Nuclear is like 90-something%. And that's just in relation to the cost of setting it up. Once it's set up, it's like a rolling, like, you continue producing energy. You get a huge return on investment with nuclear. Wind just does not make sense. No, give welfare to niggers that are sterilized. Maximum wage of $6 Confederate dollars. Okay, yeah, this is a waste of time and money. Should the government make cuts to Should the government make cuts to public spending in order to reduce the national debt? I mean, it depends what they're cutting. This is another hard question, because it's like, are we just going to cut everything? Or are we going to cut specific programs that we know are wasteful? Yes, and increase taxes. No. Yes, and eliminate federal agencies that are unconstitutional. Well, yeah, I could get behind that. No, cuts to public spending will negatively affect the economy. No, increase taxes on large multinational corporations instead. No, reduce military spending instead. No, increase taxes instead. I'm just going to say, yes. Yes, but don't increase taxes. Like, ideally, I would say keep the taxes about the same. Maybe reform the tax code, but keep the rates similar. And reduce the spending, because there's so much ridiculous spending on things that are not actually helping anybody. Like these alphabet agencies where basically you have people who are totally unaccountable for what they're doing, they're totally unaccountable for the money they're spending, and they just ask Congress for money, and Congress signs, they pass these appropriations bills that are just throwing money at these various programs that don't actually do anything. So I'd say yes, cut spending. Should businesses be required to provide paid leave for full-time employees during the birth of a child or sick family member? Yes, but only for maternity leave. Wow, what a shit answer. Only for maternity leave. So if you're a dad and your wife is a stay-at-home mom and you want to help her with the kid, fuck you, basically. Yes, but only for companies with 100+ employees. Well, what does that mean? Just because the number of employees is a totally arbitrary measure of whether or not they can afford it. Yes, the lack of paid sick leave is unfair to working men and women. Yes, but the federal government should sponsor this program instead of businesses. Yes, but only for sick leave, which is unexpected, instead of a pregnancy, which is a personal choice. No, private businesses should decide the amount of competitive incentives they offer to employees instead of a government mandate. I would say that one. No, too many workers take advantage of these programs. What? Should employers be required to pay men and women the same salary for the same job? They already are. The current requirements in the Equal Pay Act of 1963 are already sufficient. Well, there have been like a few of these things. It's been multiple times now that it's been codified in law that you have to pay men and women the same salary for the same job. No, the government should never determine what a private business should pay employees. No, there are too many other variables such as education, experience, and tenure that determine if you're Yeah, that one. I mean, you know what? This is a disingenuous question because should employers be required to pay men and women the same salary for the same job? They already are. It's not, the question itself is not actually valid. Here, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a rebel here. Should the government require businesses to pay salaried employees making up to $46,000 a year time and a half for overtime hours? I thought this was already part of workers' rights laws. I didn't know that you could do that you could have people work overtime and not pay them extra for it. I've never had a job that didn't involve like a time multiplier for overtime. But no, I don't think the government should require businesses to do that because I think employees can decide that. I don't think I would want to work a job where they didn't pay me extra for overtime, and if I did work that job, I probably wouldn't take very much overtime. Our economy and businesses cannot afford a decrease in worker productivity right now. The government is currently over-regulating private businesses. The government should do more to protect workers' rights. That one. Do you believe labor unions help or hurt the economy? Well, it's not an either-or. Sometimes they help and sometimes they hurt. It depends on what they're doing. I support some private unions, but I am strongly against public labor unions. Yes, that's the best answer for me. Public unions are fucking cancer. Should the government increase the tax rate on profits earned from the sale of stocks, bonds, and real estate? Increase the average U.S. tax rate? Increasing the capital gains tax will limit investment in our economy. See, regular people, average people can benefit from capital gains tax too. You know, anybody can buy stocks and bonds. It's not like this off-limits thing that only the elite classes can have. So, I'm going to say no. Roads. My classmates were so mad when I jokingly said my childhood dream is a Trump presidency. Are hamster wheels a viable source of power? No. Should the Federal Reserve Bank be audited by Congress? Yes. We deserve to know who the bank gives money to. Should there be fewer or more restrictions on current welfare benefits? No changes needed. Ooh, yeah, good one. Fewer uninsured benefits go to those that need it most. Fewer current benefits do not provide enough support. More reform the system so that it supplements rather than replaces a working income. More but increase benefits for the elderly and disabled. More current benefits should be capped. More and deny benefits to immigrants. More and deny benefits to immigrants. Although, again, here's this fucking word again. Doesn't tell us what kind of immigrants, just immigrants. As if they're all the same. Actually, I don't like the way that's worded, so I'm going to say this one instead, because I also agree with this. reform the system so that it supplements rather than replaces a working income. There needs to be some kind of incentive for welfare recipients to actually work. Should the U.S. raise or lower the tax rate for corporations? Keep current rates but eliminate deductions and loopholes. This has been my stance for years, is that we already have one of the highest tax rates. You know what's funny? Trump brought this up in the second debate, that the loopholes are the problem and that we have one of the highest tax rates in the world already. And PolitiFact fact-checked him and said, oh, well, the United Arab Emirates has a higher tax rate, so he's wrong, even though the U.S. is still in the top 3 highest corporate tax rates. Isn't that great? Isn't that amazing? It's fact-checking. Fact-checking. Should the government subsidize farmers? Yes, but only for organic farms. Yes, but only as a temporary measure to stabilize prices. Yes, but only small farms instead of large corporations. No, end all government subsidies and let the free market run its course. Well, it's not a lot of choices here. I honestly don't know a lot about the farm subsidy. To be perfectly honest with you guys, I really don't know much about that. So I'm just gonna not answer this one because I don't feel informed enough to give an answer. Hashtag free market bitches. Stop subsidizing shit. Organic with echoes around it. Do you support the Trans-Pacific Partnership? No. No. Free trade is a meme unless it's actually free trade. The North American Free Trade Agreement is not free trade because we've been operating on a trade deficit. If no one else is engaging in free trade and we're trying to, how is that actually free trade? It's a meme. Should pension plans for federal, state, and local government workers be transitioned into privately managed accounts? As someone from Illinois, yes, pension spending is out of control and must be reduced. Because what they keep doing here in Illinois, they keep just making more and more promises to these fucking pensioners. And they're already operating, they already have a huge budget gap. I think it's in the hundreds of billions now. Not hundreds of billions. I think it might be getting near the billions. But the point is, they keep promising people pension money that they can't pay them, and then as recompense for not being able to pay the pension money, they promise even more pension money, and the state deficit just keeps getting worse and worse. So this is my answer. Pension spending is out of control and must be reduced. Would you favor an increased sales tax in order to reduce property taxes? No, I would favor... Excuse me. I would favor dramatically reduced government spending instead of raising taxes. Like, why should we enable the poor spending choices by taking more people's money? It's not very good for the average person. And again, speaking as someone in Illinois, the public services here are abysmal. The roads are a mess. The state government is totally corrupt. And we're not getting anything back for the taxes that we pay. It's a joke. So why would I want to pay more taxes? Should U.S. citizens be allowed to save or invest their money in offshore bank accounts? Yes, as long as offshore income is reported. Should the current estate tax be decreased? I think we should eliminate the estate tax because it's never made any sense to me. You know, somebody dies and they have their estate, you know, all of their assets that are being willed to somebody. They've paid taxes on all that stuff their entire life. You know, if they own a home, they've paid property tax on it for as long as they've had it. They've paid income tax on all the money that they've made throughout their life. Why should it be taxed again because they died? It makes no sense. It's just an excuse for the government to take even more of your money. Should the U.S. government bail out Puerto Rico? Make them the 51st state so we can help prevent this from happening again. Why should we care? Why should we care? Answer me that. Why do I care about Puerto Rico? The U.S. should annex Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico are a bunch of spics. Fuck them. Puerto Rico, you have to go back. Annex Puerto Rico. You colonized Puerto Rico. I didn't do shit, motherfucker. I didn't colonize Puerto Rico. And frankly, I don't give a fuck. Colonialism was good. All of these countries that were colonized at one point or another are ultimately better off for it. Like, cry about it. Nuke Puerto Rico. Do the slides things on the left. Well, a lot of these questions I don't care all that much about. You know what? Yeah, actually, I did kind of spurg out about this one, so it is important. This one's pretty important because fuck Illinois. I don't know, not all of these are important to me, so I am going to leave the slides thing neutral on some of them. No, fuck Puerto Rico. Should the government use economic stimulus to aid the country during times of recession? No, it didn't work. It didn't work. It didn't work. No. Should an in-state sales tax apply to online purchases of in-state buyers from out-of-state sellers? No. No, 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 no. Fuck you. Illinois is doing this, actually, with some businesses, and it's bullshit. Should pension payments be increased for retirement government workers? No, they should be reduced. Honestly, fuck government workers. It really pisses me. This goes back to the public unions thing. It really pisses me off that these people are that they're working for the government. They get treated, they get promised all of these things, and then they vote for the people. Naturally, they vote for the people who are going to continue promising them things. And pensions are a big part of that, and that's a huge reason why Illinois is such a shithole, is because they keep making these pension promises. Should the government classify Bitcoin as a legal currency? Good meme. Nice meme, my dude. Should there be more restrictions on the current process of purchasing a gun? No only for assault weapons, no only for criminals and the mentally ill, no but increased penalties for gun-related crimes, no and the government should pass a national stand your ground law. Where is the repeal the National Firearms Act one? Fuck the National Firearms Act. Okay, well I'm gonna say national stand your ground law. Yeah, I went there. Do you support affirmative action programs? No. No, not under any circumstances. At all. Are you in favor of decriminalizing drug use? Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this on a stream recently. I think they should be decriminalized for the most part, but I don't think you should just get off. I think there should still be some kind of disincentive from using drugs. You know, it should cost you something if you get caught. I know it's an evil status thing to say, but forgive me for not wanting people to shoot heroin and smoke meth and shit. I know this girl who's a single mother. She's a single mother. She's had a revolving door of like 4 or 5 guys now in and out of the kid's life. And she smokes meth, and she's on welfare. Like, yeah, I'm biased, but fuck that. That's, you no. Stop it. Should local police increase surveillance and patrol of Muslim neighborhoods? Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yes, and increase surveillance on all new immigrants. Yes, until the frequency of terror attacks by Muslim extremists decreased. Good one. No, this decision should be based on crime rates instead of race or religion. No, targeting Muslims is unconstitutional, racist, and incendiary. Just imagine how much of a faggot you would need to be to choose this answer. Imagine the type of person who would choose this answer. It's racist, it's incendiary. Fuck Muslims. I literally couldn't care less. Should victims of gun violence be allowed to sue firearms dealers and manufacturers? No, absolutely not. Wow. What kind of person would pick this answer? Yes, any business should be held liable if the primary use of its product is for illegal activity. Who gets to define what the primary use is? What a ridiculous answer. Holy shit. Should the Senate hold hearings and a vote on President Obama's Supreme Court nominee? No, the Senate should wait for the next president's nominee. Wow. This really reveals who crafted this test. Merrick Garland is too conservative, apparently. Merrick Garland is too conservative. But in any case, the Senate is under no obligation. There's no legal requirement for the Senate to hold hearings and a vote on Obama's nominee if they don't want to, which is why they haven't done it yet. There's nothing compelling them to do it. Should there be term limits set for members of Congress? Term limits will increase performance and prevent corruption. Oh, nice one. No, officials gain valuable experience and become more effective representatives over time. I mean, I think there are pros and cons to this. I don't know the specifics of how long the term limits should be. Maybe you could make them like 8 years or 10 years, similar to the presidential term limit. But in general, I do think there should be some kind of limit on how long a congressman or senator can be in office. Should corporations and unions, super PACs, be allowed to donate to political candidates? Well, if you guys saw that Project Veritas video, obviously there's nothing in place to stop these people from colluding behind the scenes, even though it's illegal for them to do so. They're still getting away with doing it. And honestly, super PACs are kind of shit because of this. Any restriction on campaign spending violates the First Amendment. No, corporations are not people and should not be allowed to finance political campaigns. I'm torn on this. I'm really torn on this because a lot of bad things are done with this. A fake Sargon in the chat with 8 subscribers. Nuke niggers. Neeb says, Sargon, you lost some subs. Yeah, he lost a lot of subs. Holy shit. I mean, see, it says corporations and unions. Commonly when people raise this issue, it's usually some lefty cuck faggot who just wants corporations to not be able to, but they think unions should be able to. Since it says corporations and unions, should they be allowed to donate to political candidates? I'm going to say no, because that would actually be even-handed. Usually the problem I have with this kind of question is that they focus on corporations and they ignore unions. But I'm actually okay with that. Should people on the no-fly list be banned from purchasing guns and ammunition? No. Should internet service providers be allowed to speed up access to popular websites that pay higher rates at the expense of slowing down access to less popular websites that pay lower rates? Yes, only if it's strictly based on a pay-per-quality model. Yes, this would make the internet faster and more reliable for users. Yes, but only give priority by type and not source. No, this would allow them to remove competition, create artificial scarcity, and increase prices. Yeah, I'm going to go with this one. I think the internet is fine the way it is and shouldn't really be fucked with. Should Apple unlock the iPhones of suspected terrorists for the FBI? Okay, well, the FBI already does this on their own. They don't need Apple's help. That whole thing was just a clusterfuck of nonsense, because the FBI has done this dozens, if not hundreds of times on its own. They don't need Apple's help. So it's kind of a non sequitur of a question. No, backdoors can expose innocent owners to malicious hack. Well, the backdoors exist whether you like it or not. This is a dumb question. I'm not answering it. Should the NSA be allowed to collect basic metadata of citizens' phone calls, such as numbers, timestamps, and call durations? No and abolish the NSA. No, only with a warrant showing probable cause of criminal activity. Yes, basic data collection is necessary to track suspected terrorists. See, this is another stupid question, because the problem with the surveillance state is not, it's not the fact that we have a surveillance state, it's the fact that it's not targeted. It's not a precise surveillance state, it's just a broad brush, massive dragnet spying on everyone all at once. That's why it's not working, because it's impossible to go through all that information and actually find what you're looking for. So I think that I don't know what that's going to do, but I think that specific groups should be spied on and not everyone. You know, discrimination can be a good thing. Profiling can be a good thing. And I think that's the main reason why the surveillance state we have is so shit, is because they don't profile. They just get everybody. Fake Sargon says, I bet faggots still think I'm sexy. Get ready to get spied on, Edgy. Should the redrawing of congressional districts be controlled by an independent, nonpartisan commission? Yes. Yes, I've thought this for years. Do you support the Patriot Act? Yes, but limit the scope of the government's powers. No, and pass strict laws prohibiting any government surveillance. Woo. Woo, lad. I mean, again, this goes back to the same thing here. It's not that I think spying is wrong. I think that spying on everyone all at once is wrong. So I'm just gonna do this again. Should the government raise the retirement age for Social Security? Yes, but I would prefer to privatize it instead. Yes, people are now living longer than when the program was created. No, this will disadvantage low-income seniors whose life expectancy is lower than wealthier. No, eliminate the income cap on taxable earnings instead. No, and stop spending current funds on other programs. Yeah, that one. Should the government be allowed to seize private property with reasonable compensation for public or civic use? I really don't like this. I don't like the whole eminent domain thing. And also, it's kind of insulting that they didn't just say eminent domain. Like, what is everyone? Are we so stupid that we can't? Like, it has to be an explain like I'm 5 kind of thing. $69 plus $4.20 equals meme. Yeah, true. I mean, in general, I would say no, because fuck you, it's mine. Should the U.S. government grant immunity to Edward Snowden? Yes, investigate the CIA and NSA directors instead. Yes, he should be protected under the Whistleblower Protection Act. No, he should be returned to the U.S. to stand trial and face the consequences of his actions. No, but investigate the CIA and NSA directors as well. See, I'm torn on this one, because it's not like he didn't do nothing, but I also don't think that he should be entirely treated as a traitor. I mean, he's not Hillary Clinton here, you know? We're not talking about... Say yes, he should be protected under the Whistleblower Protection Act. Where do you side on healthcare issues? Do you support the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act? No, I don't. It's shit. Do you support the legalization of marijuana? Dude, weed. What's Aleppo?
I could win the debate by sticking my tongue out and talking like this.
Yes, but only for medical use. Yes, and immediately release anyone serving time solely for drug offenses. Yes, and legalize, tax, and regulate marijuana instead of criminalizing it. No, and increase penalties for nonviolent drug offenders. Add your own stance. I mean... yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the weed thing. I don't think, I'm gonna make it least important, because honestly, I don't really care all that much. Should the government regulate the prices of life-saving drugs? No, but shorten the lifespan of drug patents. No, and the government should never regulate prices of private businesses. No, limiting drug prices would also limit the investment in research and development into new life-saving drugs. Yes, the government should regulate the price of all prescription drugs. Yes, and we should socialize medicine and healthcare. No. Should the federal government increase funding of healthcare for low-income individuals, such as Medicaid? No, and abolish Medicaid. No, and each state should decide their own level of coverage. No, and eligibility should only include the elderly and disabled. No, and the federal government should not increase funding for any social programs. No, but I prefer switching to a single-payer healthcare system. No, but only increase for the elderly and disabled. I'm going to say no, and each state should decide their own level of coverage. Like, ease into changes. Where do you side on electoral issues? Should a photo ID be required to vote? Yes! Yes! Yes, this will prevent voter fraud. No, this will disadvantage those who do not have the resources to obtain one. No, and automatically register every citizen. Oh, that's a horrible idea. That is an awful idea. Automatically register every citizen to vote. No, and there's little evidence that voter fraud even exists. Have you seen the Podesta emails? Go read some of those things. There's the video I made the other day is really, that's just like a little teeny tiny taste of what's in those fucking emails. There's evidence of voter fraud in there, of them like literally rigging primary elections. Should there be a limit to the amount of money that a candidate can receive from a donor? Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Call me a statist. Should political candidates be required to release their recent tax returns to the public? No, I don't think so. There's no legal requirement to do that, and I don't understand why it's an expectation. It's not relevant to their policy positions. Should the presidential debates include candidates with less than 15% of support in national polls? No, because literally nobody cares, and these candidates are usually jokes. Gary Johnson is a joke. Jill Stein is a joke. Fucking, just stop. Just stop it. Do you support increasing taxes for the rich in order to reduce interest rates for student loans? No, and transition all current government student loans into privately managed accounts. Why do you think the cost of public tuition is so high? Guys, it's because the government hands out student loans like candy to every fucking retard who wants them, and they guarantee funding to these public universities, and it doesn't matter the job they do because they just keep asking for more money, and the federal government just keeps giving it to them. And so they have an excuse to keep increasing the cost of tuition, increasing it more and more and more. If you stop guaranteeing loans to everybody, the demand goes down. If you stop guaranteeing funding to these public universities, who are in many cases doing a shitty job and brainwashing these kids with propaganda, cut off the flow of guaranteed magical money that comes from nowhere, and watch the cost of tuition plummet. Do you support Common Core national standards? No. 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 Can I talk? Where do you side on foreign policy issues? Should the U.S. accept refugees from Syria? I think you guys already know how I feel about this. It's an oddly specific number. We should accept 10,000 refugees. Yes, but only accept families, no single Muslim men. Yes, but we should accept much more than the proposed 10,000 refugees. Yes, but only after extensive background checks. Nice meme, extensive background checks, and continuous monitoring to ensure they have no terrorist connections. No, we should eliminate any opportunity for terrorists to enter country. No, and send all refugees back to Syria. This is the correct answer. Fuck them. I have no reason to care about them. Statistically speaking, they're Muslims and they don't belong in civilized countries. They can enjoy the shithole country they came from. I don't care. You shouldn't care. Fuck Muslims. Fuck Syrians. I don't fucking care. Should foreign terrorism suspects be given constitutional rights? No. Foreign. As in not American citizens. Why should they get constitutional rights if they're not American citizens? Like what kind of disgusting human being would actually want to do this? Why would you want to do that? That's a screwed up belief. Yeah, well, fuck you too, bud. They can get bomb raped by Assad, inshallah. All refugees that come here get government food, all pork diets. Yeah, they do have to go back. You're right. Okay, should the military be allowed to use enhanced interrogation techniques such as waterboarding to gain information from suspected terrorists? Yes, but only as a last resort. Yes, but only if they're convicted. Yes, we must use any means necessary to prevent terrorism. Yes, a lot of psychological but not physical tactics. No, and we should strictly follow the laws of the Geneva Convention. Yeah, because we do that so well already, and everyone else does it too. Our enemies totally follow the Geneva Convention, you guys. No, torture is inhumane, unethical, and violates the Eighth Amendment, which totally applies to foreign nationals, right? That foreign nationals totally enjoy the protections of the Eighth Amendment. No, torture is an ineffective form of interrogation. It's not, this is actually true. It's not an effective means of gaining information. But I'm going to say yes, but only if they're convicted, because if they're convicted, then they deserve it, and I don't care if it's effective or not. If you're a shit human being, and we know for a fact that you're a shit human being, you should be tortured for fun, basically. I think some people, not as a means of gathering information, because we know that doesn't work. I just think that there are people in the world who deserve to suffer. So, yeah. Should every 18-year-old citizen be required to provide at least 1 year of military service? Yes. Yes. I wish this had been the case when I was 18, because I think my life would probably be different if I had that as a character building exercise. Lots of countries do this. Lots of advanced civilized countries do it, mind you. Israel does it. Switzerland does it. And I don't see anything wrong with it. Because it builds character, and it builds a sense of civic duty, like an obligation to your country, and I think that's really important. And I bet you anything that millennials would not be such pathetic, cringeworthy faggots if we had this. If they had to actually do something in their youth, they wouldn't be such degenerates. Should the U.S. formally declare war on ISIS? I don't think it really matters all that much if we do that. It's more about, actions speak louder than words. Just saying we formally declare war on ISIS doesn't really, it doesn't really, I lost my fucking train of thought. Only with full cooperation from the United Nations. Yeah, because they're so useful. The United Nations are so helpful. Yeah, they should totally continue existing. Totally legitimate entity, you guys. I would say no, we should stay out of Middle Eastern conflicts. And if they come over here, rip their toenails out. Should the U.S. remain in the United Nations? Yes, but scale back our current involvement. Yes, and use the UN peacekeeping forces to protect our interests. No, and remove the UN headquarters from the U.S. Yeah, I'm gonna go with this one. Fuck the UN. It's just a tumor growing on the East Coast. Should the U.S. continue to support Israel? Define support. No, cut all support and aid. No, we should be less involved. No, we should not give aid to any foreign nations, not the current administration. We should give equal support to Israel and Palestine. Yes, but respect Israel's sovereignty and do not dictate how it should interact with its neighbors. Yes, and increase funding in order to move our embassy to Jerusalem. Yes, and with more aid and support. These are the good goy answers here. These three answers at the bottom are best goy answers. You were a very good goyim if you agreed with these. I'm going to say no, cut all support and aid. I mean, they let them do what they want. They can handle their own shit. But I don't think we should be giving them money or military hardware. It's not our problem. I don't care. Sorry. Sorry, Skeptor. Sorry, Boxy. Sorry, all base Jews. Should the U.S. send ground troops into Syria to fight ISIS? No. No. We should stay out of it entirely, yeah. Secure our own borders and stay out of it entirely. Should the military fly drones over foreign countries to gain intelligence and kill suspected terrorists? See, I'm disappointed that there's no answer about the efficacy of drone strikes. How often they actually get terrorists instead of civilians. And there's also no answer. There's no I don't care answer. Like, there's no stay out of it answer. Should the U.S. increase or decrease foreign aid spending? Decrease. Sorry. Should the U.S. close the military prison at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba? Waste of money and resources, provide a fair trial, and transfer the convicted to maximum security prisons. Well, if these people are foreign nationals, they're not owed a fair trial. They're not American citizens. They don't enjoy the same rights we do. Yes, and it's unconstitutional to indefinitely hold suspected terrorists without trial. No, most of the detainees are too dangerous to be released or transferred. Yeah, you know, Obama did release some detainees, and they immediately went back to participating in terror activity. No, but apply rules of the Geneva Convention. The
Geneva Convention. We have to obey the Geneva Convention, you guys. We can't be mean to the terrorists.
No, and we should use all means necessary to combat terrorism. I'm going to go with this one. Most of the detainees are too dangerous to be released or transferred. Should the government increase or decrease military spending? Neither. I'm satisfied with the current amount of spending. Increase, but only... I'm going to say this one. Increase, but only after our deficit is drastically reduced. Do you support President Obama's move to lift the trade and travel embargo on Cuba? Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. There's no reason not to trade with somebody if there's a trade opportunity. One of the few things I agree with Obama on. Should the U.S. conduct military strikes against North Korea in order to destroy their long-range missile and what long-range missile and nuclear weapons capabilities? Every time they test a missile, it falls into the fucking Sea of Japan. Like... Get back to me when they actually build a missile that works. No, we should let China address this issue. Yeah, that one. Oh, actually, this is a better answer. I'm not convinced that North Korea has or is capable of developing a long-range nuclear missile. Yeah, that one. Should the U.S. overthrow President Assad of Syria? Yes, but we should defeat ISIS first. Like it's like it's the final boss in a video game or something. Defeat ISIS first. Like, that's just a thing you can do. Yes, but only if we join an international coalition. Yes, Assad is a brutal dictator and must be removed from power. Neocon, neo-lib answer. This is the good goy answer. Again, this one I've highlighted is the good goy answer. No, this would allow ISIS to control Syria. That one. We should be doing what the Russians are doing and helping Assad maintain the stability of his country instead of trying to kill him like we did with Gaddafi and Saddam. You know, look how that went. Should the U.S. continue NSA surveillance of its allies? No, and abolish the NSA. No, spying on our allies severely damages our reputation abroad. Yes, surveillance of all foreign countries is essential to tracking potential terrorist threats. I actually don't see anything wrong with spying on foreign leaders, even if they're allies, because we don't know what they're actually and their decisions could affect us. Like the whole migrant crisis situation in the European Union is, sooner or later, it's going to become our problem too. Kind of already is our problem. Germany, you know, I have a friend who says that he's tired of slapping the shotgun out of Germany's mouth. And it's basically what's happening. Germany is ruining Europe. Germany is ruining an entire continent for the third time in just over 100 years. So, yeah. Should the U.S. defend other NATO countries that maintain low military defense budgets relative to their GDP? No, we should withdraw from NATO. No, we should not defend any NATO country that spends less than 2% of their GDP on military defense. Yes, and refusing to defend other NATO countries sets a dangerous precedent for the balance of global power. I mean, I don't really like NATO because most of the member states are fucking worthless. Like, the UK and France share an aircraft carrier. They share an aircraft carrier, and it's a shitty aircraft carrier. Meanwhile, we have, like, 10 in service, and we're building, like, 10 more. We basically are NATO. Our military is NATO, because none of the other member states are worth a shit. So it kind of doesn't matter, to be honest. We could still be allies with them. We could still come to their aid in a conflict. But as it stands right now, we're spending a shit ton of money carrying dead weight. So I pretty strongly agree with Trump on this. There needs to be something in it for us. Should the U.S. prevent Russia from conducting airstrikes in Syria? Yes, and declare war on Russia. This is the good guy, I'm with her answer. You're with her, and you're a good guy if you choose this answer. Establish a new fly zone. No, we should let the Russians take out ISIS. No, we should not get involved. That one. Let the Russians take it. Let the Russians do what they want with that situation. That's up to them. Should the U.S. provide military aid to Saudi Arabia during its conflict with Yemen? No, absolutely not. Fuck Saudi Arabia. No, we should stay out of conflicts that are not an immediate threat to our security. Yeah, that. Actually, I'm going to do this. There we go. Now it's perfect. Should the U.S. provide military assistance to defend Ukraine from Russia? No. The Ukraine isn't even a real country. Ukraine don't real. Should police officers be required to wear body cameras? Yes, this will protect the safety and rights of police officers and citizens. I don't know why we didn't do it years ago because cameras weren't so good years ago. But now I see no reason why we shouldn't. And what's funny is the Black Lives Matter people were actually advocating for body cameras when we didn't have them, and now that more departments have them, and the cameras are increasingly eroding the didn't do nothing narrative. Like, the cameras are showing more and more often that they did do something, and now the Black Lives Matter people are crying about the cameras because they don't tell the whole story. Ukraine is the Belgium of Eastern Europe. Yeah, did do something. Should convicted felons have the right to vote? I think it depends. Yeah. Yes, except for felons convicted of murder or violent crimes, because there's so many ways to become a felon, and most felonies have little actual meaning. Like, you can become a felon for having a used marijuana pipe in your pocket. That's a felony in some places. So I think most felonies being a pretext for removing someone's right to vote is kind of stupid. But I also don't think violent criminals should be allowed to vote. Should prisons ban the use of solitary confinement for juveniles? What do we mean by juveniles? Do we mean like 16-year-old, 6'2", 180-pound Jamal Jarquavius, who stabbed someone to death in the throat or something like that? Because he's only he's a juvenile by technicality only. Someone like that. No. It is necessary for violent criminals who are a danger to themselves and other inmates. Should illegal immigrants have access to government-subsidized health care? No, and we should deport all illegal immigrants. Should Muslim immigrants be banned from entering the country until the government improves its ability to screen out potential terrorists? Okay, this answer, banning immigrants based on their religion, is unconstitutional. This answer is objectively false. This is not true. This is not true at all. And I'm going to show you why it's not true for the millionth fucking time. This is Title 8 of the U.S. Code, Section 1182, Inadmissible Aliens. And if you go to Control F suspension, you get this section, lowercase f, suspension of entry or imposition of restrictions by president. Whenever the president finds that the entry of any aliens or of any class of aliens into the United States would be detrimental to the interests of the United States, he may, by proclamation, and for such period as he shall deem necessary, suspend the entry of all aliens or any class of aliens as immigrants or non-immigrants, or impose on the entry of aliens any restrictions he may deem to be appropriate. So any faggot telling you that it would be unconstitutional to ban Muslim immigrants or ban people from Muslim countries or ban any kind of immigrant from entering at all is full of shit. It's not unconstitutional. It's already the law that the president can unilaterally do this by decree whenever he or she wants. Foreign nationals do not enjoy the protections of the Bill of Rights the way we do. It's such a bullshit argument. Anyone who chooses this answer is a fucking moron. Yeah. So, my answer is simply yes. Because, if you want to be pedantic and say, oh, well, how would you ban by religion? This is really what it would be. We should ban immigrants from high-risk countries. But I don't want to choose the answer that says no. So I'm just going to say yes. My actual answer is more nuanced like this. Should illegal immigrants be offered in-state tuition rates at public colleges within their residing state? No. No, and all illegal immigrants should be deported. Should children of illegal immigrants be granted legal citizenship? No, 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 no. No, all illegal immigrants should be deported. Yes, and abolish all national borders. Kill me. End my life. Should immigrants be required to learn English? Yes. There's no make English the official language of the United States. Lots of countries have official languages, and honestly, English should be the official language of the United States. But this is as close as we're going to get in this quiz. Should the U.S. increase restrictions on its current border security policy? Yes, and allow border states to manage their own security policy. Should working illegal immigrants be given temporary amnesty? No, find companies that employ illegal immigrants, which should be happening already, but, King Obama. Should local law enforcement be allowed to detain illegal immigrants for minor crimes and transfer them to federal immigration authorities? Yes, all illegal immigrants should be turned over to federal authorities and deported. Fuck you. Get out of my country. My dad earned the privilege of coming here. Fraulein's parents earned the privilege of coming here. They worked hard for it, and these fucking pieces of shit think they can just come in here and get it for free, no questions asked. And for me, the answer is no. No. Get the fuck out. Go back to the shithole you came from. I don't care about you. I have no reason to let you. In fact, you're politically, socially, economically, you are a detriment to my country. Get the fuck out. Should the U.S. increase or decrease the amount of temporary work visas given to high-skilled immigrant workers? Satisfied with the current amount, decrease in the government should provide more incentives to prepare our citizens for these jobs. Decrease companies are currently taking advantage of this. Yes, exactly. Companies are currently taking advantage of this program to decrease wages. Companies are currently taking advantage of this program to decrease wages. I don't know what happened to the stream there. It died for a second and came back. But yeah, the work visa program is out of control. I think that immigration in general, whether it's legal or illegal, it should be extremely limited to only the best possible immigrants who are actually going to provide something. And there's not a whole lot of those. So if it were up to me, immigration would be reduced almost to zero, unless you're like, you're highly specialized in some kind of science field, or like you're a particular kind of engineer with a particular kind of expertise that we need for some reason. That would be different. But for the most part, no, fuck you. Where do you side on science issues? Should the federal government require children to be vaccinated for preventable diseases? Yes, but only for deadly contagious. Yes, but with exceptions for those whose religious beliefs forbid use of vaccines. Yes, they're essential to No, but hold parents criminally liable for transferring deadly diseases to others. How would you even do that? How would you even do that? Hold parents criminally liable for transferring deadly disease. What? I'm gonna say yes. Like, I don't, this is one of those things where I don't think it's worth the risk of trusting the average idiot to make this decision themselves. Like, yes, your kid should be vaccinated. No, I don't care if you're scared of vaccination for some reason. Your kids should be vaccinated. Should producers be required to label genetically engineered foods GMOs? We've selectively bred crops for thousands of years, and labeling just adds an unfounded stigma to the science. Yeah, completely agree with that, because there's really no, to my knowledge, there's not any good evidence that GMOs are like this scary, like, mutant, like, toxic monstrosity that's going to, destroy your body or something. I don't see what the concern is, unless somebody has some kind of evidence. Do you support the use of nuclear energy? Yes, and nationalize the industry. Nuclear should be the go-to thing that we're relying on for the foreseeable future. Like, we should be building nuclear power plants out the ass. Why are we fucking around with fracking? Why are we fucking around with wind or solar? They're fucking shit. We should be building nuclear power plants like crazy. We already have the ability to send electricity over extremely long distances. So if you're so concerned about, some kind of disaster, or you're concerned about the waste disposal, just build them away from the cities. Build them out in the middle of nowhere and transmit the power. Because the yield from nuclear power is so fucking high that you're not really losing much by transmitting the power over a distance. There's no reason why we shouldn't be doing this.
Yes, temporarily while we increase investment in cleaner renewable alternatives.
I mean, thorium would be good too, but this is a retarded answer. No, we should invest in cleaner alternatives such as wind, hydroelectric, thorium, and geothermal. How do you expect to get to thorium and geothermal without a huge amount of energy from something else in the meantime? You're not going to get to thorium and geothermal with wind and solar. And most of the good places for hydroelectric already have hydroelectric set up. Hydroelectric is limited by nature because of the way it works. You need some kind of terrain, unless you're going to undertake some kind of massive construction project to build like an artificial river or something. So nuclear just seems like the natural answer here. I say build a shit ton of nuclear power plants, use that to set up thorium and geothermal, and then we can use the huge amount of energy we're getting from that to dispose of the waste. I don't understand why anyone is still hung up on wind and solar, like, unless they're just completely uninformed about the energy density that you're getting out of each of these things. And yeah, I miss Thorium, the YouTuber. He pisses me off that he stopped making videos. Should the government fund space travel? Yes, and drastically increase NASA's current budget. No, the government should leave human space travel to private companies. No, the government should not fund any space exploration missions. No, we should focus on saving the Earth instead of leaving it. Well, in the long term, if humans exist in the long term, we might have to leave Earth. It's not going to affect us in our lifetimes, but, well, it could actually. There's that asteroid coming in the 2030s. Please, God, let it hit us. End this nightmare. Should the government fund space travel? See, I don't like how a lot of these questions are like either-or things. And personally, I think that there wouldn't be anything wrong with having private companies and government programs. Don't tie them together necessarily. But I think as long as there's room for private industry, that should be okay. Only for military missions. Not until we drastically decrease our federal deficit. Well, NASA's budget was only a teeny tiny percentage of the budget anyway. It was like funding NPR, basically. We need a space industrial complex. Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. I think it should be part of the military-industrial complex, to be honest, because that's certainly not going anywhere. You're not going to dismantle that. So, I mean, I think if we cut other things, then at least NASA would be something beneficial that we'd be spending money on. I mean, overall, the private companies are doing a better job so far anyway. Okay. So here we are. We're at the Show My Results button. You guys ready for this? Well, first of all, let's take a vote. Who do you think I'm going to come up with? Given what I say all the time, you might think Trump, but I have a feeling it's going to say someone other than Trump, to be quite honest. Jill Stein. Fuck you, wrong think. Bernie Sanders, you faggot. Your results say you're a bad goy. Hillary Clinton, Johnson, Stalin, the libertarian fuck, Bill Nye, the science guy, Adolf Hitler, Ungood, Jeb, Le Guacman. Alright, I'm gonna click the button, and hopefully this won't be too embarrassing. Man, this thing's slow. Humongous. I side with Donald Trump on most 2016 presidential election issues. 81%. That's actually lower than the last time I took it, I believe it was 91%. Oh God, Gary Johnson was second. End me. My life is a lie. Kill me now. Well, that at least is comforting. 7% with Hillary Clinton and 12% with Jill Stein. Bad goy. Because you're a fucking Nazi. We shut it down. Alright, it looks like I'm back. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck happened there. It decided my internet connection got showed, apparently. But, okay, so by issue, immigration was most important. Education, yeah, immigration, education, science, crime, elections were most important. Foreign policy, domestic policy, the economy, and the environment were more important. Healthcare was somewhat important. How voters rate the candidates. Gary Johnson has the most integrity, apparently, according to the people taking this fucking test. Wow, this is depressing. that people like Gary Johnson so much. Commitment, consistency. Right, well, I'm going to read chat for a little while. Aleppo, bunch of faggots taking the test, I guess. Johnson smokes too much weed. Johnson is awful. Click the party tab. Where is the party tab? Ah, here we go. I side with the Constitution Party on most political issues. Yes. Based. Go me. Fuck the GOP. I agree with them on things they say only. As far as things they actually do, well, that's another story. Fuck neocons. Fuck the GOP. I can't wait for this election to destroy them. I agree with the Socialist Party 11%. That says something. I agree with the Socialist Party more than I agree with the Democrats, apparently. There must be like a 0.1% difference in here or something. Yeah, so again, these were the most important things: immigration, education, science, and crime. Okay, moderately libertarian. That's interesting. I haven't come up as libertarian on anything in a long time. I pretty reliably come up as authoritarian. Your political themes. I lean towards militarism, meaning you more often believe we should use whatever force necessary to protect ourselves against foreign threats. This theme is most important to you. Yeah, fuck multiculturalism. In fact, I'm surprised this wasn't further. Lean towards tough. Capitalism versus socialism. I lean towards capitalism. I don't really see myself as all that capitalistic, though, because there are decidedly uncapitalist things that I agree with, like protectionist trade, for instance. And I do think that, that's something, I answered the nuclear energy question is, we should nationalize the industry. So it's not that I think, the way I would describe myself, I think I would want something like a mixed market economy. I don't necessarily want a free-for-all. And I think I pointed this out a few times during the quiz, but I didn't like the way some of these questions were worded, because a lot of them seemed like either-or propositions. It's not that I'm against government programs. I just think that the programs we have are shitty and don't work. But that doesn't mean that I would be against programs that are functional, and that, that is possible. Go populism. Yee. Isolationism versus... I don't consider myself isolationist either. I'm nationalist, but it doesn't necessarily mean... you don't have to cut yourself off from the whole world to put your country and your people first. Edgy equals 88. No, I'm not 88. I'm just 14. Okay, there's I'm totally for 14, but I'm not 88. Anybody who's 88 is just playing dress up, to be honest. Racist, Nazi, alt-right, cuck, regressive otaku. Isolationism means non-intervention to most retards. Yeah, I mean, that's right. I'm more of a non-interventionist than an isolationist. It doesn't mean I should, I think we should just, read an economics book, to be honest. I'm a fucking Jew and I'm 14. Oh, is that Varbear? Take a class. Traps or futa? Neither. Normie's asking what 1488 means. Normies get out re... $1488 is literally Edgy's birth year. Alright, I need memes. Literally, give me memes. What's your take on this whole white policewoman refusing to shoot a Dindu out of fear of social backlash in Chicago? I actually mentioned that in a recent video. I mentioned that in my my video about the Ben and Jerry's thing. And I think that's a great example of why we should all be buying guns, because we're in a situation now where even the police are afraid to do their jobs. Even the police are afraid to stand up for themselves. And I don't think we can count on them anymore. Basically, black people are becoming beyond reproach, and they commit the most crime out of any demographic. And I feel like a lot of people are really oblivious to that, or they sort of block it out. What do you think of Jared Taylor? I like him. I like him. You know what's funny? Someone's mentioning Jared Taylor. I find it funny that a lot of people, other YouTubers, accused me of, like, lying about my views or whatever. Edgy was secretly an alt-right neo-Nazi all along. I was using American Renaissance as a reference from the beginning of my channel. I was using alt-right stuff, like referencing alt-right stuff all along. So I don't know where anyone would get the impression that I was lying. I wasn't quite as blatant about it. But I don't see how that should count against me either way. How about Millennial Woes? I talk to him sometimes. He's a nice guy. You guys should watch his last couple of videos. He did a video about, it's called The Power of Pepe. And it sounds ridiculous on the surface, but he actually he makes some really great points about the way Pepe has been zeroed in on and declared a hate symbol, and is being reported on as this, like, white supremacist thing. It shows that there is some kind of power in memes. If they even bothered reckoning with it. What do you think about my repetitive shitty content? I think you should stop bothering me, to be honest. Hashtag not all Pepes. No, it's not all Pepes. The alt-right took Pepe back from you fucking normies, whether you like it or not. Thoughts on Sweden having... I lost that comment. Here. Thoughts on Sweden having a police drain, about 2 to 3 quitting every day, and sending lady cops to deal with sand dindus. I think Sweden is too far gone at this point. I think Sweden should be used, they took one for the team, and they should be used as an example of what is going to happen to all white countries if we don't stop the immigration. Germany's in the process of experiencing that now. They're not as bad as Sweden yet. The UK started taking these children, basically like 20-something, 30-something-year-old men claiming to be teenagers and getting in as child refugee status. The UK is starting to do that now. And certain people that I've had certain arguments with in the past don't see the implications of what their immigration policy is going to lead to. I don't know how they can't see it, but... Yeah, Sweden should be used as a case study for why you don't have mass immigration policies. Plain and simple. Like, they're done. They're over with. There's no saving them at this point unless unless someone with a pair of balls actually goes in there and just starts killing migrants, which isn't going to happen. So, what do you think of the ADL and the SPLC? Here's what I think of the ADL and the SPLC. To some of these far leftist degenerates, I lost that comment. Having any right-wing leaning makes you alt-right, even if you lean liberal in most things. Well, there's nothing wrong with being alt-right, to be honest, because the alt-right are the only group actually saying the uncomfortable truths that need to be said. That this is why I hate the Republicans so much, and I hate the neoconservatives so much, is because they have utterly failed to conserve everything. They've just kowtowed to everything the Democrats want. They're part of the same shitty agenda, the shitty neoliberal economic agenda of just, oh, let's just treat people like resource units. Oh, it doesn't matter if we have a national identity. Like, honestly, Americans listening right now, what does it even really mean to be an American at this point? How do you define what being an American even means at this point, in all honesty? It's been totally destroyed. It's been totally eroded. Well, Ronan, the politics of the alt-right are more... The alt-right is more of a cultural thing than a political thing. But I think the best political representation of it would be nationalism. And nationalism and populism. And, this explains Trump's success so far. It explains the rise of these nationalist parties in Europe. I think there are a lot of people who fit under the label alt-right, whether they consciously identify that way or not. There are a lot of people who share the sentiments of the alt-right, whether they can explain it or not. It's kind of, it's as much a feeling as it is a set of actual propositions and ideas. Edgy, you think Europe can save itself with the nationalist parties? I mean, maybe. I got green 61% and I'm a fucking Nazi. What? You might... Are you, like, actually a National Socialist? Because that would kind of make sense. To be perfectly honest, I'm not actually entirely opposed to that, to be totally honest with you guys. Let's look at VP. Oh, look at that. Mike Pence. Which is kind of disappointing to me because he's a neocon and the definition of a cuckservative. Candidates. If Trump loses, hopefully we can elect a protectionist in 2020. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Is that politically speaking, in terms of political implications for the country, it would be very bad if Trump lost, because the Supreme Court justices are going to have a long-term effect far into the rest of our lives. The justices that Hillary would choose. But as far as the alt-right goes, and as far as the growing populist sentiment and the resentment of the current system, it almost doesn't matter who wins, because Trump is not going to... I was listening to Radix podcast earlier, and Richard Spencer was talking about this, how... if you actually think Trump is going to save America or make America great again, and I could have told you this, but the way he put it I found interesting. But basically he said, if you actually think that Trump is going to fix everything, you're delusional. You're as delusional as any other supporter of any other candidate. Trump is just a stepping stone for what is to come. Trump is a step in the right direction for the changes that need to be made. He is not going to fix everything. And honestly, if Hillary were to win, that would just accelerate people being driven into the arms of populism and driven into the arms of nationalism and potentially being full-blown alt-right. Because the choice between Trump and Hillary is basically the choice between continuing the slow burn with Hillary, or let's just knock this thing over right now with Trump. One way or the other, this thing is on the way down. The U.S. is in trouble, regardless of who gets elected. And it's not necessarily because of them personally, it's because of the way things have gone for the last 100 years. Sargon did this new video, in which he compares the timelines of Rome and the United States, and the similarities are pretty eerie. And based on the political tension, the division, the racial tension, the precarious position of the economy, and the blatant corruption of our leadership, it only seems like the next logical step that this country is headed for another civil war. Like, I would guess within the next couple of decades, another civil war is coming. So it kind of doesn't matter all that much who gets elected, because hopefully this thing will collapse and we can make something better within our lifetimes. It would be interesting to be part of something like that. Someone says Sargon, LOL. Yeah, I don't always like Sargon's videos, but someone encouraged me to watch that one in particular, and it actually was a pretty good video. What do you think about the recent talk of World War III with Russia? Well, Putin gave a statement on that, and basically the way he made it sound was like he's not going to start shit. He basically excuse me. He didn't seem to accept that Obama was pointing the finger like that. And I think if a conflict were to spark up, it would definitely be Obama dealing the first blow. Putin's a smart guy. He's not gonna attack the U.S. or whatever. And honestly, I think that whole thing about the news media putting out those reports of the CIA planning cyber attacks against the Russians is obviously really counterproductive, and I kind of doubt that they're legitimately going to do something. I think they're just trying to bolster Hillary's claims in the debates that it was the Russians, but Russia. I don't think they actually have any evidence that the Russians did anything, and I don't think they're actually going to do anything. And if they do, Obama will basically be starting a war to protect his girl Hillary. Putin paid Edgy to say that. Nilty, I don't have a cold. I smoke cigarettes. That's the problem. Yeah, Lowbrow, honestly, I think Sargon is kind of confused because he was like extolling populism in that video. And populism is kind of decidedly not liberal. Democracy is honestly kind of shit, to be perfectly honest. This election proves that. Like, the corruption is so blatant and so out in the open, and people just don't care. Democracy's kind of a joke. You gonna be doing any more collabs with Naked Ape anytime soon? I don't want to do collab videos anymore, to be honest, because they're a lot of extra work for not much return. People just don't watch them as much. They want to see your content that you made on your channel. They just never do as well. And if it's an issue that I think is important, like that Black Lives Matter video I did with Ape, I do think that's an important issue. But that's what pisses me off about the fact that not as many people, that video didn't get as many views. It's because it was an important issue. Like, here, it's from 2 months ago, it has 13,000 views. A video I made a week ago has more views than that. One of my solo videos. Just to put that in perspective for you. Collab videos, it seems like only the fanboys like them. You know? They don't, Edgy's a crypto-Nazi, cack. Cigarettes are degenerate, Edgy. War says, absolute monarchy, one guy can't pass the blame, he's responsible, and if he pisses off a small minority enough, he can be killed. Yeah. Fraulein and I were talking about this earlier, but, you know, I think this is the value of populism, is that, you know, you could have a populist monarchy, you know, you can have an authoritarian government with an element of populism where there's sort of a bond, there's a relationship between the people and the leader, and there's some kind of personal investment there, where the leader actually feels some... I mean, this is the problem with our society, is that someone like Obama, he has no connection to the American people. I mean, first of all, there's no unified American people. We already mentioned that, how the idea of an American identity has just been completely destroyed. So there's no common identity in the people to connect to, and on top of that, our leaders have no connection to whatever identity is there, and so they don't feel responsibility for anything. They have no accountability for any of the shit things that they do, and that's part of why I kind of want this thing to collapse, because it would be nice for these people to get their comeuppance. Balkanize the states, it'll actually fix everything. Yeah, I think balkanization is inevitable. Obama's a fucking jerk-off. We used to have an identity, it's been shamed out of us. Yup. Do you think Japan will stay Japanese, or do you think that they too will be imbued with the cancer of multiculturalism? I think it would take an amazing, it would take an amazing coincidence for Japan to actually fall for that, because they've been ethnically homogenous for so long, and they've been so committed to it that I don't see them giving it up willingly. Edgy, do a Twitch stream, I don't stream on Twitch. Fuck off. Well, I think, okay, this is the last question I'm answering. Edgy, when do we gas the anarcho-autists? Now. Do it now. Okay, one more question. Do you think multiracialism is a failed experiment? Yes. Yes, I do. More homogenous communities tend to be more stable and have a higher sense of public trust. People behave differently in groups, and if they're in groups of people like them, they're more likely to behave positively. But with that, I'm going to end this stream, because I want to smoke, and I have to take a piss, and fuck you, bye.